MS6. Identify an unknown substance using solubility as a characteristic property. So we have talked about characteristic properties all year, and the thing about characteristic properties is that if you know one of these characteristic properties about a substance, you can use it to identify what that substance is by comparing it with a list of known solubilities or known properties. So here's the problem setup. One day while exploring in a desert island in the Pacific Ocean, Bryson and Alexis collect samples of substances for their science fair experiment. Notice the science fair theme here. It will be useful for them to know the solubility of each substance. Their findings are below. So they have 5 substances. They tell us how much dissolved in how much solvent, and then they give us these qualitative observations. Remember, qualitative observations are descriptions with words, which are really helpful sometimes, but these are not characteristic properties. Lots of things can make this happen. So while this is helpful, it's not super helpful for what we need to do for this problem. Okay? So the first thing you need to do for number 11 is calculate the solubility of each substance and record them in the table below. You need to show your work. So again, I know that you didn't just guess, didn't happen to glance at someone's paper next to you. You also need to use the appropriate units. This is huge. I saw a lot of people on this problem using these units for this problem, but if you think way back to October, these are the units for density, and we are talking about solubility. So while the units for solubility are similar to this did not earn you much understanding. Okay? So to calculate the solubility of each, I'm not going to go through and do it for each one, but I will tell you that solubility equals the grams of the solute divided by the milliliters of the solvent. So what you need to do for each of these questions, or A, B, C, D, and E, is take the amount dissolved, divide it by the amount of solvent, and that gives you your overall solubility. And the units for solubility are a little bit long to write, but it's just this right here. So the units are grams of solute per milliliter of solvent, and that's what should be written after each answer over here. The next thing you need to do is number 12. Using table 1 at left, identify as many of Bryson and Alexis's mystery substances as possible in the space below. So this is where the characteristic property piece comes in. If you can match any of these to any of these, you know pretty fairly certain that you have matched up the substance and you can identify what it is. The tricky one is this one. This table tells us that lead nitrate has a solubility of 0. And one thing I'll point out also, here are the units for solubility that you needed up here. Lead nitrate has a solubility of 0. And Bryson and Alexis found that substance A has a solubility of 0. A lot of people matched that up down here, which is good because they're looking for patterns in the numbers. However, I will point out that there are lots of things that could have a solubility of 0, because a solubility of 0 really just means that nothing dissolved. So I could have a handful of rocks with a solubility of 0. I could have a piece of metal with a solubility of 0. I could have my hair has a solubility of 0. So anytime the solubility is 0, that doesn't help you necessarily identify what the substance is. So keep that in mind as you're trying to match up your solubilities with the solubilities of known substances.